Yesterday we had a big heat wave in Sydney. In western suburbs, the temperatures were about 40 degrees, maybe even higher. Here, where we are, they were slightly lower, but also very high. Unfortunately, this did not have a good impact on my bees. I'm sitting in front of the hive right now and I can see a lot of dead bodies. We are talking about hundreds, maybe up to 1,000 of bees that were lost in the heat. I'm not quite sure what exactly the reason was. Was it just the heat or was it lack of hydration, lack of water? But obviously the impact was pretty scary. Today the weather cooled off a little bit and looks like the hive is back to normal operations. I'm just hoping we won't have a lot of those heat waves ahead of us, because that can basically destroy my hive. Hi everyone. What you have just seen happened more than a week ago, just before Christmas. It was a particularly hot day and a lot of bees were dead by the end of the day. I was really concerned about the colony because there was a lot of dead bees. Since then, we had a couple more really hot days, and I was happy to find out that there was no further casualties. So it looks like it was a one-off event rather than something recurring, which is likely to happen with every single heat wave. That's a very good news. Meantime, 2 weeks have passed since my last inspection, and I think it's time to open the hive again and have a look at my ladies, see what's happening there. Because I added a new super new honey box on top of the hive last time, I'm hoping I don't really need to look too much in terms of seeing whether there is any honey to be harvested. I'm sure there won't be any. So I can go through the super inspection hopefully very quickly and concentrate my efforts on brood box. As I mentioned in some previous videos, I couldn't get to the brood box yet, ever since I got the hive about a couple of months ago. The queen excluder is basically fused to the brood box. What the bees have done there, I have no idea, but somehow they got it so connected to the brood box, there's no way of separating it. And I tried a few gentle approaches, nothing worked so far. So I think it's time for a little bit more aggressive approach, not too aggressive. I don't want to harm any bees. Initially, I thought about using a knife, sliding the knife under the queen excluder and separating it from the brood box. On second thought, I think it may be a little bit too harsh approach. If I slide the knife under the queen excluder, I may harm some bees, I may kill some bees. If it's unavoidable, so be it, but I'd rather avoid it. So my second thought is I prepared a little steel wire with two handles, and if I can slide it under the queen excluder on one end, leave the queen excluder slightly on one end, free it on one end and slide it under, then hopefully I can just slice under the queen excluder and take it out from the brood box. So that's the idea. Let's get started. Before we open up the hive, let's have a look what we can see from outside. Okay, let's have a look what's happening with the flow frames. Okay, I can see a fair bit of empty cells in the flow frames. Doesn't seem like they deposited more honey there. If anything, actually there is less honey than 2 weeks ago that I've seen. Probably they used some honey, or maybe they moved it to the wooden frames. I don't know, but there's not much happening here. Okay. Let's have a look through the side window. What's happening with the wooden frames? All right, They are depositing the honey, definitely here. I can see the glister in the cells, which is the freshly deposited pollen or honey or whatever you call it. I can even see that some cells are already being capped, just a very few of them, but nevertheless. So yeah, so here they are progressing reasonably well, but not as fast as before I put the second super on. So with the second super, I think I will have more time, definitely more time, and they will have definitely more space to put the honey in. We'll also have a look at small hive beetle. Okay, I need to clean this board, I can see that. I've got a couple of bees here, but I don't have a small hive beetle today, which I guess is a good news. I'm sure it's there, but hopefully not in some very large quantities, very large numbers. I think we can call today a success overall. I did have a look at the supers. They're looking good. The frames are looking good. The honey is being collected. Some of the cells are already being capped, not many, but you can see they are starting to cap the cells, which is a good sign. It's probably more honey than I expected within a span of 2 weeks, ever since I put the new super and the new frames in. But so be it. I probably have another 4 to 6 weeks before I need to think seriously about harvesting some honey. So after inspecting the supers, I proceeded with trying to get to the brood box. And here, as you probably could see, my new tool consisting of a wire with handles didn't quite work so well. It was too gentle. I just could not get through the wax or whatever it was there that was connecting the queen excluder to the brood box. I ended up using the knife. Unfortunately, the tougher approach. I am afraid I might have harmed some bees in the process, but I eventually was able to get the queen excluder out of the top of the brood box. I made a point of inspecting every single frame of the brood box. Did it very gently because I was afraid that if they are fused together, I may actually damage some brood. I may damage some comb. That didn't happen, luckily. The frames came out reasonably well. I took every one of them out, and when I say every one of them, with one exception, the last frame didn't want to get free that easily, but eventually when I freed this and could lift it by about a couple of centimeters, it was catching on something. There was something there that was catching on something else, and I didn't want to pull very hard because I would kill more bees and made more damage. The good news is I could not see any evidence of any what I understand to be symptoms of some diseases, some pests like American foul brood or European foul brood for that matter. Couldn't see any of those, so that's a good news. There was a small hive beetle. I've seen some activity there, but that's not surprising. I know the little troublemaker is there because I've seen it before, and I deal with this as we speak. But apart from that, I think the colony is in reasonable good health. However, what concerns me, and I speak from complete lack of experience here, I don't think there is many brood cells for the size of the colony, for the number of bees that I've got in the hive. I would expect to have those frames in the brood box pretty much filled with brood. The brood is quite patchy, so I don't know how committed the queen is in terms of laying eggs, how good she is in doing that, but she's definitely laying. I haven't seen her, unfortunately, but I've seen her evidence. I've seen the evidence of her work, relatively recent. I haven't noticed any eggs, but I don't even know, what I would look for, honestly. But I have seen some open cells with the larvae. So there is obviously a very recent activity of the queen, which is good. But I'm just a little bit concerned that there is not enough of those brood cells there, and I honestly don't know how to judge whether there is enough or not. So I will be keeping my eye on this. Next time I will inspect the hive, which probably will be in about 4 weeks. I will aim to open the brood box as well and have another look and see whether there is ongoing activity of the queen. If there is, I'm not going to do anything at the moment. I don't think there's any alarming sign there that should prompt me to do anything.